All right, let's do this. So hello, everyone. Welcome. I'm Matt. I'm based in London, UX UI design strategist here at Content Square. So yeah, I'm going to be talking to you all today about accessibility. We've got a lot to cover. And as you can imagine, it's a huge topic. I'm going to go through as much as possible. Then we're going to do a kind of quick live audit. And yeah, we're going to kind of put some of the stuff that we've been discussing into practice and see if we can find any issues altogether. And then we're going to hand over finally to Marion at the end, who's going to talk about our amazing foundation. So let's go. So today's agenda: accessibility, the obligation and opportunity, identifying and addressing impairments, a live website audit. So we're going to actually look at two websites. It doesn't mean either one of them is good or bad. We're just going to kind of look at them together and see what kind of different features and what else they've got going on. Just as much as possible for you all today to kind of see. And then finally, yeah, the Content Square Foundation. And then a Q&A. So guys, feel free to add questions to the chat. We know we've got Kerry, we've got Jess. They're going to be kind of moderating the chat as well and keeping an eye on the questions coming in, and we can answer those at the end as well. So, question. Let's go. This is for everybody. We've got 211 participants today. Okay, so it'd be really nice to see some people answer some of these questions that are going to keep popping up in the chat, and let's just see what you've kind of what you think. There's no right or wrong answer. But yeah, first question: what does it mean to be a digitally accessible brand? What does it mean to you? What does it mean to your team? What does it mean to your company? Again, there's no right or wrong. Just really nice to kind of see what kind of thoughts we've got, and maybe discuss amongst yourself as well whilst we do this today. So yeah, please feel free to kind of add those in, and meanwhile, I will continue along. So what is accessibility? All right. This is by no means meant to be kind of, patronizing or anything like that. It's, it's more in the sense that it's a huge topic, and naturally we can be overwhelmed by it because there's a lot of information to take in. So how is it defined? Digital accessibility is the inclusive practice of ensuring there are no barriers that prevent interaction with or access to websites on the World Wide Web by people with physical disabilities, situational disabilities, and socio-economic restrictions on bandwidth and speed. Okay, and follow up there with a quote from Tim Berners-Lee. Okay, so inventor of the World Wide Web, who said that the power of the web is in its universality. So access by everyone, regardless of disability, is an essential aspect. Okay, so I'm just going to flick back a little bit again. So the inclusive practice of ensuring there are no barriers that prevent interaction with. Okay, and this is for everybody, not just some, but everybody has a right to access the web. Okay, and it's an essential aspect. So why should you care? Why should any of us care? Why should we care about accessibility? Because each and every one of us has a moral obligation. Okay, it's the right thing to do. First and foremost, the topic of accessibility, before we think of money, revenues, profit, okay, it's all about philanthropy. It's the right thing to do, okay? And for us who work in the e-commerce space, in tech, we have a duty working in digital to make sure that every single person has access to our content and anything else that we're kind of putting out there. If you design for all people, you'll provide a better experience for all people. Okay, and we're going to kind of go through that today, right? If you design for everyone, then you're going to provide a great experience for everyone, and no one's going to be excluded. Business obligation. So yeah, 80% of US businesses are prioritizing digital accessibility because there are implications, there's legal risks, there's suing, compliance, and so on. And we've seen in the past, in 2020, there was around 3,500 digital accessibility lawsuits, and this applies to web, app, and video. That was a 20% increase from 2019. So it's a real thing, okay? And we're seeing this more and more across the globe now. We're seeing more and more cases against it. Jess, this from UsableNet, 3,500, a study from UsableNet. So 8 in 10 companies are now working to achieve digital accessibility. 3,500 digital accessibility lawsuits. And business opportunity, increase your market share, right? 1+ billion people in the world have some type of impairment. So that's the kind of market right now. And, you know, we're seeing that there's many kind of websites and apps and products that are inaccessible. So that kind of market share right now is kind of closed off. Those extra revenue sources are closed off because of inaccessible websites. So if we just go over these facts and figures real quick, you know, I like to present this in every webinar that we do. It's very important, and it hopefully will resonate as well. So 1 in 25 people are blind or have a visual impairment. So almost 300 million affected. This is globally. 1 in 12 men colorblind, compared to 1 in 200 women. So, you know, you could be in your office, you could be down at a restaurant or something like that. There's a chance that, you know, there could be a man next to you that is actually colorblind and they can't distinguish properly between red and green, for example. 1 in 10 people have dyslexia, 700 million. So that's almost close to 1 billion in itself. And then 1 in 11 people are 65+ today. And that's going to jump to 1 in 6 by 2050, right? Okay. I'm sure that a lot of people who have joined this webinar today, that's going to be us. 2050, we're going to be looking at, you know, being around 65+. What's our experience going to be like then? Okay. Right now, for most of us, it's probably okay. We can do everything day to day. We can go on a website, we can make a purchase, fine. How about our parents or our grandparents? Okay, something to really think about, especially from a UX point of view. Okay, you know, the next time you're kind of with your parents or your grandparents, maybe like observe them on the internet and kind of see how they're, you know, getting on with a purchase or browsing. Are they struggling? Do they struggle to kind of read text? Are they struggling to distinguish between different colors? Are they struggling with their mouse or keyboard? Okay, are we going to go through the same things as well by 2050? And as it stands, it looks like we could, because 70% of digital content is actually not accessible through them. And that's 80% of new sites. So 80% of new sites are kind of deemed inaccessible. 2/3 of e-commerce websites. We see this a lot with e-commerce websites, especially. You know, utility sites, banking sites, telecom are probably a lot more accessible compared to a lot of the e-commerce stuff that we see, because they kind of have to be. So for people who are coming on to pay a utility bill, we need to kind of do that. Otherwise, they're going to be what? The gas and electric's going to get switched off, or they can't make a payment. So yeah, we're seeing these industries kind of lead the cause, but we need to kind of get this out there to the e-commerce brands now as well. 71% of disabled customers with accessibility needs leave a website they find difficult to use. So just kind of let that resonate for a second. So the opportunity, the market is larger than China. The kind of last time I looked, we were looking around 1.85 million people have some form of impairment and disability. Again, it's emerging. If we think globally in terms of income, we're looking at around $7 trillion in annual disposable income, okay? And then if we look and take into account friends and family of people with disabilities, this jumps up to 3.4 billion potential customers, $13 trillion of annual disposable income. Okay, so there's a lot of money at stake here. And as I mentioned, right, this isn't something that we should be just focusing on and chasing. It starts with education. It starts with awareness throughout business, throughout your business. And then with that comes a more accessible website. And with that comes revenue. So just a quick look at this latest BEMIDE report. For those who maybe don't know what BEMIDE is, it's a top kind of UX research company, and just before Christmas, they released a new report. And I'm not going to show the kind of chart with the brands on there. I don't want to kind of put a focus on that. I don't want anyone to feel shame or anything. So I've kind of just removed that for now. But as you can see, the key takeaways: 33 top grossing e-commerce sites, okay, revealed that 94% of sites are actually incompliant. So there's issues with images, links, form field markup, and keyboard navigation. They're all above 50% as well. 64% of sites have accessibility compliance issues with keyboard navigation. And they were looking at the top, 33 kind of gross e-commerce sites. Okay, so it's very much real, and it's very much prevalent, even across big brands as well. So let's move on to identifying and addressing impairments. And before we do so, I just wanted to give a quick summary of what the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines is and what we kind of look for. You also hear it being kind of termed WCAG, so WCAG 2.1. I do believe WCAG 2.2 will be released towards the end of this year, so there will be an update in terms of the guidelines, but for now, yeah, they've been around for the last few years. So there's 4 principles. Number 1 is perceivable. So users must be able to perceive the information presented. Operable, users must be able to operate the interface. Understandable, so users must be able to understand both how the user interface operates and the meaning of information presented. And then the 4th one, robust. Users must be able to access the content as technology advances. Those technologies like browsers and other assistive technology evolve, the content should remain accessible. A really great example of robust is mobile responsive, right? I'm sure many people on this webinar today will remember the kind of days where we had a desktop site and then we had a kind of separate mobile site as well. Okay, there wasn't kind of a lot of responsiveness going on, and it took a lot of companies to kind of catch up to make their sites responsive. And that's just an example of that. Having one site for kind of desktop, one site for mobile, and then having to kind of redo it all again to ensure that it's responsive across mobile, tablet, and desktop. And we don't really see that much now, which is fantastic. We see a lot of people actually building mobile first, and that's the way we strongly recommend it in the world of user experience. So we'll just touch on the 5 themes of the accessibility business case as well before we drop into some examples and some tools and tips. So number 1 is innovation. Diverse ideas create new opportunities. Okay, so we think of innovations, physical innovations, physical products such as the typewriter, telephone, email, and voice controls, or anything like that. They were tested and to ensure that a lot of users could use that, including users with disability. And since then, it's kind of, transcended into something new and bigger: computers and mobile phones. We think of text to speech. So for users that are blind and rely on audio to kind of navigate through a site. Okay, driverless cars. Okay, we're talking again about a physical product, but driverless cars, kind of being devised and created, that it's going to be so promising for the independence of blind people, right? So designing with that in mind, but then it also is projected to help solve traffic fatalities and congestion, right? So we're constantly innovating, and I think in different kind of landscapes, we're maybe physical, such as cars, there's testing going on, testing for every user. But in digital, it's still not the case. Over my time as being a user experience designer, I've seen many kind of user tests going on with no users that have an impairment or a disability. Okay, So how do we know that our website is accessible or not if we're not actually reaching out to a user with an impairment or a disability and seeing how they work and seeing how they navigate our site and if they can get from A to B, right? So it's all about that. It's all about pushing it out now and reaching out and having a more diverse profiles involved in testing. Inclusion. So this kind of, just what I was talking about then in terms of inclusive design, it leaves no one behind, and it's as simple as that. Okay. Brand. Inclusive brand outperforms. We're seeing this now with your Microsofts, Googles, Apples. They're really leading the way. They're taking, taking initiative and they're pushing accessibility out there. A nice example is Microsoft. Especially, we think of gaming, their assistive adaptive controller that they have. Even their captions that are built into PowerPoint they're incredible. It's powered by AI. If there's anyone in Microsoft on here today, say hello. And if you have anything to share, fantastic. Same for Google and Apple. If there is anyone, it'd be amazing. Productivity, accessible solutions boost productivity for everyone, and compliance. So raising the bar reduces the risk. Right. Quote here from Paul Smythe, head of digital accessibility at Barclays. Many organizations are waking up to the fact that embracing accessibility leads to multiple benefits. So it's kind of common sense. It's like reducing legal risks, strengthening brand presence, improving customer experience, and colleague productivity. If you're including everyone, people are going to take note of this. Okay. If you've got a website that doesn't work and you're marginalizing X amount of people, they're going to complain, they're going to spread it on social media, and yeah, your brand reputation is going to kind of fail then. So let's go and look at some impairments and then some tips and tricks and tools that follow. So visual impairments, blindness, low vision, color blindness, auditory impairments, deafness and hearing loss. Okay, just one quick pause. Patrice, can we have the captions turned back on? Are they not working for you in Zoom? Would you like me to enable the ones for the presentation manually? Let me know. I hate to think there's anybody on this call today that would like captions and they're not working for them. Okay, so auditory impairments, deafness, hearing loss, motor impairments, paralysis, limited sensation. Beverly, can you please go back 2 slides just before the quote for a sec? I missed the last blurb. Sorry, which one was that? I will do it very quickly. Maybe this one. Productivity and compliance. Yeah, cool. No worries. I'm glad I could help. If you have any questions, please feel free to add them in the chat as well if there's anything you would like me to clarify. Okay. Motor impairments, cognitive impairments, epilepsy, dyslexia, learning disability, autism, ADHD, and more. So let's look at visual there. So when we think of visual, we've got colors, we've got text, we've got images. But today I'm going to focus on color and contrasting as well. So, when we think of WCAG and the guidelines, the intent is to provide enough contrast between text and its background so they can be read by people with moderately low vision. So for anybody who's joining today, does anybody know what the acceptable ratios are when it comes to color contrasting? If there is anybody on here that knows, and you would like, there we go. There it goes, straight away. Perfect. 4.51. Fantastic. You saved some time there. So yeah, 4.51. And now we're just going to talk about what the contrast ratio is. I'm going to try and break it down and simplify it for everybody as much as possible, because ratios can be, they can be a little bit overwhelming. I never really enjoyed math at school. So yeah, it was never something I liked, fractions and ratios. So when I first heard contrast ratio, I was like, oh, what's this? Oh my God. Okay, so contrast ratio between 2 colors. It's a number between 1, which is the same color, and 21, and it results in a calculation. Okay, so we've got white text on a white background, gives us 1. It's not readable, it's failed across the board. And then we've got 21, so black text on white background. That's a pass across the board. Yeah, so between 1 and 21. So the acceptable standard, like Mirko has kindly put in the chat, the double A is 4.51, right? And then it jumps up to, around 7.7/1 for triple A. But we're only looking for double A. Okay, so 4.51, and that might not seem like a lot, right? 4.51. It can drop down a little bit for bold text and large text as well. All right, so I'm just checking the time as well. Okay, so we've got a fair bit to get through, so let's keep going. So this is just some examples here of some color contrasting issues. You can see the logo Mac gives us a 1.8. The banner itself is around 2.38 in different places, 3.98, because this kind of, they've got a different image. So some of it times it can be a little bit darker than the other. If you look to the right there, the autumn winter 2021, it gives us a 1, so it's really difficult to read. Jess, yes, Jeff, yeah, there's some Chrome plugins I'm going to show you. So just another example here, large header, 9.59. We've got a pass, and then we've got a 2.52. So you can really just see, right? It's not going to be readable the kind of closer we get to that kind of primary color. Good contrasting. We just got this example from giffgaff here, and you can see that there's not many issues, right? And when we do a quick check using Wave, which is an accessibility plugin, it says there's no contrasting errors. So it's congratulations, there's no errors. But it does stress that manual testing is still necessary to ensure compliance and optimal accessibility. So there could still be a couple of issues here. Maybe the banner that's coming up now, Sizzling Summer Savings, in the bottom right hand corner. Yeah, it's black text, but yeah, we can't really, might be still difficult for some users to read that. Kayla, the name is Wave, W-A-V-E. Yeah, it's a Chrome plugin. It's great. It summarizes everything for you. So it's really easy for beginners to just kind of get stuck in as well. Yeah, that's it, Olga. Yeah, W-A-V-E. Thanks, Beverly, putting that in. Fantastic. Yeah, it really just summarizes it, breaks it down. It makes it less kind of overwhelming. And then there's some extra tools here. Color Contrast Analyzer. You can download this for Mac and Windows. And then there's Color Contrast Checker as well, which is a Chrome plugin. You can just download that, and then you can open it up and you can check any colors, and it will tell you whether you're passing or failing. So maybe after this webinar today, you go on your own websites and yeah, have a little play around and see if you can spot any issues. That'd be amazing. For designers, I'm sure you're already aware, but if there's any designers that aren't, or if there's anybody who's kind of creating and starting a new design team and they want to incorporate accessibility, we've got Stark as well. And it's a really great tool when designing, checks the contrast ratio for you, and also offers up suggestions as well. So acceptable font sizes. Again, everybody feel free to put any answers or suggestions in the chat, and we'll keep going just in the interest of time as well. Got lots to cover today, which is nice and exciting. So 16 pixels, it's the browser's default text size. We don't really want to drop lower than 14. I was on quite a famous brand website the other day, and I was in their checkout, and some text was around 10 pixels in size. I could barely read it. And this brand is accessible, I'd say, to a variety of different age groups. So, it could have been my mom or my grandparent who could have been on that website, and they would have missed probably some very important information. 10 pixels, not good. Line length, justifying text, avoiding full caps. Think of dyslexia, okay? It's very important that we kind of avoid these practices. Fontsninger, another handy little tool. There's plenty of tools out there, right? And if anybody else has got some tools that they've been using recently or plugins, please feel free to put them in. I'm always interested to see new ones as well. And I'm sure that everybody else on the webinar today would be super grateful for that as well. I've just got some that I've been using over the last year or two. So it's not the good, not the best maybe, but yeah, they still are. So yeah, feel free to get involved. Okay, motor and cognitive. So some users find it difficult or impossible to use a mouse, trackpad, or touchscreen. So how can a user navigate a site without using a mouse or trackpad? Anybody know? What do you think? So if you can't use your mouse or trackpad, how else would you do it? Tabs, yeah. That's it, exactly. And in the live audit today, we're going to give that a little test. We're going to give the keyboard navigation a test on these both of these websites. Voice as well, yeah, fantastic. So on most web browsers, you can actually use your keyboard alone without a mouse or trackpad. You can do this via the tab key. So that cycles top to bottom. If you combine shift and tab together, you can go from bottom to top. But if we want to start from the bottom, working our way up, and we can navigate and enter, and we can utilize drop downs and go to the next steps with the space and enter key too. So nice and simple. It's actually quite simple to, when you're on a good website that's accessible, it's very easy to kind of to get through a site using only your keyboard. And again, I'd love everybody to have a go today, right? Maybe after this, color contrast checking, some keyboard navigation. Let's do it. There's some homework for everybody. Content structure, very important when we think of this, okay? And this is why you should all love and appreciate your content teams too, okay? Those guys who are, creating content on the webpage, and they're, we really want to appreciate them. It's not just about design and developers, okay? It's about content teams too. They play an integral part in making sure the structure's in place, making sure the images are labeled correctly, alt text is labeled correctly as well. So yeah, moving on to that, image elements, making sure they have an alt attribute, making sure that decorative images use null, text alternatives for complex images, such as charts, graphs, and maps. And then finally, images containing text, make sure that it's got that kind of description. So if we've got Content Square's logo, we'd kind of want to see Content Square as well. So we know where we're going. So we know where we're kind of navigating to. And when we're thinking of that text to speech, screen readers, if we can't see what we're kind of looking at on the screen, we want to hear it whilst we're kind of navigating. So if we're landing on Content Square's website, we want to know we're landing on Content Square's website. And how does that look? Images, alt text. So there's this example here. You can see that the alt says accessorize Soho soft beanie. Okay, and it's reading out, it will be reading out exactly what is on that page. Okay, so for a user that's navigating through using a screen reader, it's going to read out that text. Keyboard accessibility. Again, so we can see here, I've got another great tool to show you in terms of how effective your keyboard navigation might be. And you can see here, it's kind of doing dot to dot. So we're going 1, 2, through to 20. And we're navigating through this site real nice. Like we're getting through every single bit, every single element on that page. Nothing's getting skipped on this. If we look at this example from Flipkart, it's actually, you'll see in a second, we're going okay, we're all right, okay. Oh no, we've not. We've jumped 9 to 10 and we've missed out 4 essential elements in between that. However, I'm going to show you that when we do the live audit. I'll show you that tool. I'll have a little run through some of the tools that we've got. So yeah, keep a lookout for that. Another one, fantastic, T-Mobile, and that is skip to main content, skip to footer. As you can see here, this is really nice in terms of avoiding large navigation menus. So if we're using a keyboard, we don't want to have to go through every single navigation menu element. We can skip, we can go straight down to those banners just below. So it's going to save us heaps of time. If we want to contact customer support, if we want to look at FAQs or returns, we can skip to footer. So instead of having to navigate all the way down the page, we can actually skip straight down to that footer and get to that core important information quick and fast and efficiently using only our keyboard. And just highlight those ones there, skip to main content and skip to footer. One of the sites that we're going to look at in the live audit actually has got this as well. So yeah, have a look at that when we do that soon. But it's super handy. Clear language. Yeah, try and avoid, writing and kind of condensing stuff down. 5-7, 5 to 7 instead of January, and then acronyms as well, HTML. Some people might not be aware of that, okay? So hypertext markup language as an example. And then we can see that here in the labels and links and stuff too. So we've got home and garden, list, 11 items, Okay, like, so we kind of land on here. The screen reader is going to read all that out. So we know we're on home and garden. We know we've got a drop down. We know there's 11 items in there as well. Yep, Melissa, we're going to share this presentation afterwards as well. Yeah. Screen reader, alt text again. You know, just we've got the example from Bose here. We hover over that image with the mouse. We can see that it says Bose Quiet Comfort earbuds. We navigate through using the screen reader. It's going to read that out. So it's really just, you know, real simple stuff. You've got images, just write some alt text for them. So, you know, the screen readers, text to speech assistive technologies, they can read it out perfectly. Checking alt text and more. So yeah, Wave, this is what I mentioned before. It's linked as well. So if you can't find it just yet, it's also in the chat as well. So yeah, download that and have a look at it after this webinar. Let me know how you get on. And then just to conclude this presentation, yeah, I just wanted to finish with these two here. So, you know, public use of the web is more than 25 years old. So it is no longer a novelty, but an integrated critical tool of modern life. Okay. And if we're designing with every single user in mind, then including accessibility improves the experience for everyone. And it's as simple as that, right? It really kind of is simple content. Read, should we strive for AA or AAA? AA, always. You're going to find it quite hard to find a website or a product that's AAA compliant across the board. I'm sure it is common somewhere, but it's difficult. So yeah, you also have to think of brand as well, right? You know, you've got your brand style guide and stuff that comes into it. You know, you don't want everything to just be black and white. So yeah, you have to really work with these different teams. Okay. And yeah, as Marion said, it's not very common to see AAA. So no pressure. Okay, so right. There was a lot of information there. I hope that was okay. I hope you found it useful and interesting, right? So what we're going to do now is I'm going to stop sharing my screen. We're going to do a live audit. Okay, we're going to look at Lowe's and we're going to look at Girlfriend Collective. I'm not sure if you're in the webinar today. If you are, feel free to say hello. And look, like this isn't going to be. I'm not gonna do like a Gordon Ramsay or anything like that. I'm not gonna be like, oh, this is absolutely terrible. What's going on? Blah. Okay, it's not gonna be like that. We're just gonna kind of go through. We're just gonna go through together, and we're gonna see what happens, right? So we're gonna use a few different tools, and let's see what happens, right? Let's do it. So you still see my screen? Okay, I might have to stop sharing and then share again. All right, so cool. All right, can we see my screen okay? People let me know. Can we see the Lowe's website? Yeah, all right, perfect. Okay, so we've got Lowe's and we've got Girlfriend Collective. So one thing I really like to do when I kind of just come on a website like this is just let's start off with Wave, okay? And see what happens. So we're on Lowe's, and we've got a summary. We've got 9 errors. We've got 4 contrast errors. So if we look around, so let's have a look. We've got some errors here. There's some alternative text missing, but only one. Some very low contrast is spotted a little bit, and that's kind of it. So there's not too much right now on the homepage in terms of visual, okay, and technical seems to be not too bad. So if we just close this, it's not closing for me now. There we go. Sorry, I think if I'm in Zoom as well, my connection's a little bit slow. So let's have a little look through. Everybody, please feel free to pick out some pain points as well. If there's anything you can see whilst I'm browsing now, please feel free to put that in the chat. Okay, but so far from a color contrasting point of view, it kind of looks okay, right? You know, we've got kind of the black text and the white background. I mean, having a white background definitely is going to help. Okay, we've got the blue, so we've got some blues going on. Safety unites us. What we're doing on this blue with the darker black, the darker background could be quite difficult to read. Banners auto scrolling, Jess. Yep, it is. There is a pause, but it's true. Yeah, it's going. How quick is it going? Let's have a count. It's got these indicators here, so it doesn't actually have like the kind of chevron arrows. We've got a pause. We can pause it, which is good. Ashley, green on green could be hard for color blindness. Okay, yeah, exactly. Like, so we've got this CTA here. Could be a little bit faint. If we have a little look and just see real quick, I'm sure it's going to be okay. But if we've got the background like this is Pika, by the way. This is also a nice color contrasting tool that you could use. You can kind of move it around everywhere. 4.58. Okay, so it's a 4.58. Let's just have a look quickly at the font size as well, just to confirm. 14 pixels. Okay, so it's not the worst. I think because it's a darker green, it's going to kind of get away with it. Okay, so let's have a look. So let's have a look at tabs next. Okay, so this is a really cool tool as well. It's called Accessibility Insights for Web. Okay, so we've got this tab stops. So I'm just going to come to the corner here, and I'm going to start tabbing. So remember tab key, and I'm going to start tabbing, and you're going to see it jump to each element on the page. So if you remember that Flipkart example, it was jumping over everywhere and it was missing out like a lot of elements as well. So let's see how we go with this. So we're okay right now. We're in the search. Okay, absolutely, yeah. I will list all the tools, definitely. There will be a small resources section at the end of this presentation as well that I will add all the relevant links for you all. Okay, so we're going through. All right, and it's taken us through the trending now. Okay, interesting. All right, let's have a look. And then it's jumped us out of that. And now it's jumped us back into the navigation there. We're going down, we're going down, we're going down. Okay, this is going to get quite long now, right? So we've got recommended searches for you. Yeah, these are all free tools as well. Great stuff. This one, Accessibility Insights for the Web. Accessibility Insights for the Web is, yeah, it's like full, like grassroots, like, yeah, fundraising and everything to kind of ensure that it works efficiently. Okay, so we're skipping through here, and now I don't know what's going on. Oh, we're going through the slider. So okay, it's not too bad. It's not actually, it's not too bad. Oh, we're getting through. We're getting through all the elements on the page. We're down at featured categories now. We're getting through the products. Okay, let's have a look here. So we've got the image. It's taken us a lot of different elements here, but it's not. Is it going to the CTA? So I'm just going to scroll a little bit. Okay. It's not actually taking me to the CTA, the add to cart CTA. So the image, the price, the description, the rating, but I can't actually get to that add to cart CTA whilst I'm tabbing. Okay, so that could be problematic, right? If we can't actually get to the add to cart, we'd have to go through to that product itself. Maybe let's do that. So let's go through to the product and let's see about buying this product using the keyboard only. All right, one thing to note, let's have a look. Skip to main content. Fantastic, right? This is exactly what we want. We don't want to have to go through all that navigation again using just our keyboard, because if we do, we'll go through it. Where is it taking me? Okay, and actually I'm quite lost now. Shop. That's another fantastic thing to look out for, right? So there's no kind of border around the linked elements. Okay, and I will show you Girlfriend Collector because I actually think they do have that, and I'll show you that in a second. So I'm tabbing, I don't know where I am. And because I don't have the tab stops enabled for the tool that I showed you, I'm at the search now, but that's it. I don't really know where else I am other than that. So that's another important pain point to look out for, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to refresh this page, and I'd like to show you the skip to main content so we can avoid that navigation. And then I will jump over to Girlfriend as well, and we can look and see what's happening on that site too. Right, skip to main content. Okay, tab, enter. Right, so I've avoided all of those navigation elements. So main content is coming up again. Okay, perfect. So we're in the main content now. And it's actually, this is great. Okay, cool. So we're actually getting options to jump to different parts of the main content. So I just something there, overview. Okay. All right, so let's again, sorry guys. Can be a little bit tricky when you're not fully used to it. Skip to main content, overview, recommendations, carousels from the manufacturer. This is fantastic, and footer. And then if not, we can continue through. It was a struggle to actually add the product to the cart then. And I think that's what actually froze my computer. So Loz, if you're on this call, no, I'm only joking. Okay, right. In the interest of time, we've got a minute. Let's have a look at Girlfriend Collective very quick. Okay, skip to content. Amazing, fantastic. Skip to menu. Okay, skip to footer. Great. Okay, so let's go through now. This is what I was mentioning before. Okay, so when I'm navigating through using the tab, you see the border around each link. That's what we want. But in this instance, it seems to be skipping in strange ways. So girlfriend.com, if you are on the webinar today, we need to look into that because it is skipping around. And we're going to refresh the page again. I want to try and navigate through the elements, right? So we've got skip to content, fantastic. Skip to menu, great. Now I want to go from shop now, and I want to go to, okay, new, okay, straight away it's jumped me to new accessories, and then it's jumped me to coming soon. So I'm not actually able to navigate. Hey, Michaela, I hope you don't mind this, okay? I'm trying to be nice as well. Okay, so there's you know, it's all good. Tear it apart, love it. So yeah, now it's a struggle. We're struggling to navigate through these. That's fine, but now it's taking me to skip to content again. So I'm kind of stuck in some sort of loop. So this is really great to kind of look into. I'm in this crazy loop. Skip to menu, search. It's kind of avoided those menu elements. Okay, basket, banner. The board is fantastic because we know what link we're on. Okay, we'll just scroll down a little bit. Let's have a look. Impressive. Okay, all right. So yeah, we were a bit all over then. Oh, look at this, Daniel. Like it. You're putting some code in there. Okay, so that's a big red flag for me, navigation with the keyboard. I do like the border that highlights the links that you're on, but we've got some issues here with keyboard navigation. Okay, let's have a look at Wave and see. All right, we are got a minute, I think. I'm sorry, we need to hand over to our fantastic Mario. Okay, it's gone very quick today. I've loved this session. I hope you have as well. If you've enjoyed it, please let me know, and if there's any feedback too. Okay, 0 contrast errors, 0 errors. All right, so we're good for contrasting. Let's go to somewhere and maybe just try and see these products quickly. So contrasting is looking good. Text sizes, there's some that are a little bit smaller. It's not too bad. Kevin, too much to absorb. I know, I'm sorry. This accessibility, it's a huge topic. It's sometimes when I do these sessions, I'm like, I want it. It should be 2 hours maybe, or 3 hours. If you ever want one of those, let me know. I'm sure we could arrange something. All right. So we're again, finally, before I end this, we're caught in this loop. So Michaela, we're caught in this navigation loop with the keyboard, and I can't get anywhere. I mean, I can skip. Thankfully, I've got the skip to content, but without that, we'd really be struggling. But we're getting through the rest of these elements now. Cool. All right. I'm going to leave it there. There was a lot to cover. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to hand over to Marion now, who's going to run through our amazing foundation. Okay, and I'm gonna have a little just a quick breather. But yeah, feel free to keep talking in the chat. You've all been amazing. Thank you so much for being so interactive.
Thank you, Matt, for your amazing presentation and all the information and accessibility tools that you shared with us. Did you see my screen? Yes. Yes, great. So nice to meet you, everyone. I'm Marion. I'm based in France, and I'm head of digital accessibility at Content Square and Content Square Foundation Director. Just to give you some context, I joined Content Square end of 2020 after the acquisition of my company. I had developed an accessibility software company with the aim to highlight digital accessibility and show to brands that 70% of digital content is not accessible for people with disability. And I'm very sensitive to this topic because I'm dyslexic myself, so it's a subject very close to my heart. So digital accessibility is fundamental to more than 1 billion people in the world. That is 15% of the population, which means we all know someone who needs digital accessibility, right? And our initiative is to make everyone understand that digital accessibility is not an option. It's a fundamental human right. A truly accessible world will benefit everyone, from people to organization to global prosperity and peace. And we all have a role to play. So, for example, 20 years ago or even 10 years ago, we didn't find LGBT or no gender campaign. And now it's fully part of our lives. So it is even expected. So the world is evolving and representation matters. And at Content Square, we truly believe that the next frontier of inclusion is about digital accessibility. And it's why digital accessibility is the top priority at Content Square. And for that, we have twofold ambition. First, from a business perspective and point of view, we support our customer by helping them to detect and correct all accessibility issues based on the accessibility standard. So WCAG or RGA in France, for example. And the second initiative is to raise awareness around digital accessibility for people with disability while making a real social impact. And it's why Jonathan Cherki, our CEO, decided to create the Content Square Foundation, a non-profit organization to do that. And but what is happening at the Content Square Foundation? So our philanthropic approach is based on 3 levels. So it is all about creating awareness about the cause, and that is still unknown. So product innovation, because we are developing our own products. And we also make partnership and grant making because we are supporting external initiatives. And we do all this to support 3 pillars. So equal access to education and culture, setting up a new design standard that is inclusive, and of course, creating a tangible social impact with our own ground initiative. So the Content Square Foundation has the ambition to becoming a thought leader around digital accessibility and giving to brands and organizations all the information they need to create a more inclusive digital world. And we will share the best practices and launch a digital accessibility guideline, for example, but also organize dedicated webinar like this one. And again, thanks, Matt, and congratulations. And of course, we're gonna support external nonprofit project. And as I mentioned, Content Square is a tech company, so the Content Square Foundation developed also assistive technology product to help people with disability in their daily lives. So thank you, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this session, and I will get the stage back maybe to Matt. If you have additional question, we left some time for the Q&A.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Maria.
Thank you.
Right, okay. Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. Right, what I might do is we've got a couple of minutes before we finish. So what I'll do, there's a lot of chat. this has been one of the most interactive and engaging sessions that I've ever done, and I really am so thankful for everyone getting involved and talking and sharing. And this is what we want to see, right, Marion? We want to see all this, so it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to scroll right up and have a look, okay, and see if there's any questions that are kind of standing out. So in terms
what else
of
we could do, Matt, there, do you see the little Q&A icon?
Q&A. Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Perfect.
we've got quite a few in there.
We've actually got those in there.
And then we've been recording all the ones in the chat, so we can kind of follow up with people directly on any of those.
Yeah, perfect. All right. So yeah, just straight off the bat as well, the presentation will be shared. Okay. And links to those tools are in there as well. Okay. So let's have a look through the questions. We've plenty of tools today, color contrast ratios and so on. So many questions, but I don't know where to start. Yeah, font type. Okay, you talked about requirements for font size, but what about font type? Certain fonts or styles that should not be used. Marion, we've covered this before, right? There is can you remember the name of the accessible font? It's like the most accessible font.
It's Luciole. Yeah,
that's it, Luciole.
Luciole, exactly, developed by scientists, French scientists, and this font is very, very readable and easy for people with cognitive disorder. Yeah.
Okay, I've got that.
Or for me, with my dyslexia.
The dyslexia, right? That's it.
Yeah.
Marion, I don't know if there's anything you want to kind of talk about in that sense, someone who has dyslexia, in terms of your kind of experience with different fonts over the years, or kind of any of the issues that you've had.
Yes, my main issues was at the end of the day, when you spend a lot of time behind screen, it's sometimes quite difficult to read a little font or maybe italic font. So I think we can think inclusive design first and create some asset, very simple. And for me, the contrast is it's a main issue. And when I navigate on the website, I still highlight all the text to not lost my my line. And yeah, it's sometimes quite difficult for me, but we have a lot of adaptation today. But yes, I think inclusive design first.
Always. All right, next question. This is a good one. Carousels, autoplay. For autoplay carousel or video, is it okay to have autoplay as long as there is a pause and stop button? Or should we avoid autoplay altogether and always start paused? So what do people think about that? For the people that are still here, what do you think about carousels? I know a few people. I know girl that I work with here, Natasha, I don't know if she's on the call today.
Yeah.
But she strongly despises carousels. Okay, so yeah, many people don't like carousels. To be honest, they're not very, I wouldn't say they're deemed accessible, right, Marion? They can be quite troublesome. The example, Flipkart, that I showed before, okay, they're a huge marketplace company in India, and they have a carousel, and I think there's about 16 banners inside that carousel, right? So if you're trying to navigate with your keyboard, you have to get through 16 banners. It's exhausting. Or if it's on autoplay and you've got 2 or 3 seconds, think of cognitive impairments. Someone's not going to, someone might not be able to keep up with the speed that those carousels are going. So all in all, I would preferably like to avoid carousels as much as possible. Yeah, there's trouble, and it's just a way of kind of keeping a lot of information condensed in one place, which isn't always good. Kevin, is there any way to accessibility QA style guide tools? Because I can't find it's a good place to start. Okay, accessibility QA style guide. I'm not too sure, man. I'd probably say an expert's always good at that, an actual person. I don't really have any tools to share with you on that today. Okay, maybe another minute before we have to drop off. How much of accessibility is on UX designers' shoulders versus developers and partners, and what are some tips to marry the two? I really like this question, and this is something that there's a lot of blame game that comes between designers and developers, and this is why I really wanted to pick out before content as well. Within our companies, we've got these fantastic content teams, okay, that can really help be the first port of call, and usually they are, you know, because we think of SEO and stuff like that. It's always a big topic. So SEO accessibility can kind of come from those guys. Alt text for images, structure, ensuring, you know, a proper coherent structures in place. Then the UX designers, of course, you know, ensuring we're keeping our designs as inclusive and as accessible as possible. But then it's handover as well, handing over our designs to developers, ensuring that everything that we're producing is written up properly so the developers can take that away. Ensuring that accessibility is built into that kind of handover process too. You know, Figma is fantastic for this now. You know, you can have your kind of guidelines and requirements built in there. You can comment and you can work together to ensure that what's going to get built, what's going to get coded is in fact going to work properly and efficiently. And for a long time, I've seen very poor coding practices in place. And it's not always the developer's fault. Okay, it's handover. Sometimes they get a design and they don't know if that the color contrast is perhaps too low, or, you know, there's supposed to be an alt text on this image. I think with awareness now they should, but yeah, it's all about strong communication between teams. Absolutely. Okay, I think gonna have to drop off now. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Marion. Thank you, Kerry. Thank you, Jess. This has been one of my favorite sessions I think I've ever done. I really, really have loved it. And you've all been amazing.